When I started doing stand-up, the thing that it reminded me of the most was talking to my mother before bed.
Hi, and welcome to the Mom Comes, a stand-up and stories podcast. Whether you're experiencing maternity, matrescence, mommyhood, menopause, or even if you've become the matriarch, the Mom Comes, we've got you covered. Laugh until you cry with the Mom Comes. I'm Holly Rizzuto-Palker, the producer of the Mom Coms. I'm Italian Catholic, and I'm married to a Jewish guy, so move over, Sebastian Maniscalco, because I'm raising 3 pizza bagels of my own.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Silverstein, one of the co-hosts of the podcast, The Mom Coms, Stand-Up and Stories. I recently surprised myself by getting into stand-up comedy. Though classically trained, my biggest claim to fame was the role of Harry Bradshaw's answering machine. So I guess stand-up wasn't too far off the mark. At home, I performed for my toughest crowd, 4 kids, my husband, and a 90-pound rescue puppy who thankfully doesn't give notes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mom Comes Stand-Up and Stories. Hi.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Today we have Liz Glazer with us. Liz Glazer has appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and Netflix's Funny AF with Kevin Hart. She has sets on Don't Tell Comedy and Nate Bargatze's The Showcase. She also has a YouTube special. Do you know who I'm not? Most importantly, though, Liz is an original member of the Mom Coms. She is also my Rabbi Karen's wife. Now, yes, I know I'm not Jewish, but I do have a Rabbi Karen. We'll get into that later. Today, Liz is going to take us through her closet of all things. And as a member of the sandwich generation, she's going to chat with us about her relationship with her own mother and her young daughter.
Woo!
Woo! Welcome, Liz.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Allie. Thanks, Steph. It's great to be here.
I so love the clothes background. It's okay.
All of my blue shirts. That's literally.
Oh, you're like my husband. Okay,
Yeah.
so wait. I had to build him a closet. Like, since we're married, like, he fights with me over the closet. And I'm like, dude, like, you do not have the amount, like, just by the nature of having to have heels and then sneakers. And, like, I just have to have more stuff. But your blue shirt situation has a similar vibe to his. Like, I made him, he had, like, 80, and I was like, we need to, like, get rid of 20.
Oh, yeah. I don't really have that much clothes. So all of this is Karen's. The whole this wall is Karen's, and then it starts in the middle there is Karen's. So I have, like, the shelves are mine up there, sweatshirts and jeans and stuff, and then some shirts over there.
We're going to title the episode In the Closet with Liz Glazer.
Good. I deserve to go back in, you know? Yeah, that's what I deserve. I have a baby blanket. I sleep with one. Okay, to this day. Pachi, he is male.
That's so cute.
He, him. So Karen and I are in a threesome. Untraditional for a rabbi, but she's reformed, so it's fine. But anyway, I've been sleeping with the literal same baby blanket since 1979. Okay, like I have a high standard. Like I want, if it's a lifetime warranty, I mean it. Like I'm going to be sleeping with that man. At this point, he's a man.
Line out of context, and it'd be like, I am sleeping with
a man.
Yeah.
But I want to know what's behind it. Like, I want to analyze that. Like, you made that baby blanket a man, but you're a lesbian.
I know. Well, I mean, but this was when I was like 1. Sure that there's like stuff there. I have no doubt, but I really couldn't tell you. I think that probably there was like some heteronormativity that was in play. I just thought, I was like, well, I am going to marry Pachi one day. Of course.
Right.
Like, thankfully, it did not get to a point of like, you know, my strange addiction or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do still sleep with him.
But see, Liz, here's the thing. Like, I had a honey bunny. And Honey Bunny was a girl. So, like, now that I asked her that, I'm like, why was Honey Bunny a girl?
Because you're gay.
We got married, and I was like, I can't sleep without Honey Bunny. And then when we moved to our new house, my dog got Honey Bunny out of a box and, like,
oh my God,
ripped her to, like, 1,000 shreds.
That is a nightmare. First of all, I'm so sorry for the loss of Honey Bunny. Like,
I actually
really
might
serious.
cry.
I'm deeply sorry. And you know what's funny is, like, that now, I have a very young daughter and I sleep with a baby blanket. And so now she likes to come in our bed and like watch TV and whatever. And so Pachi's there. And I was like, oh, do you want to play with Pachi? And she's like, no, you need him. You need Pachi. And she's right. I do. But it's interesting because there is that sort of transition where it's like, okay, are we done with Pot? No, never, apparently.
Let me ask you this. How do you feel about Kevin Hart? You just filmed Funny AF.
I did. He's a great actor. He's a great writer. He's a great producer, all of that stuff. And the care and attention and just the level of detail and encyclopedic knowledge of every single person's set that he was able to bring to conversations that may or may not make it to air was so impressive. He makes you feel so seen.
Your daughter get to watch you on TV because I remember you did Jimmy Fallon show. You let her stay up. And how do we feel about that?
She now thinks that that's normal. Because when I was on The Tonight Show, she did watch, and my mother and my mother-in-law were home with her when I was out with you guys at the watch party. And then the next morning I asked them, I was like, oh, what was her reaction? Did she say, Mommy? And my mother was like, she mostly looked confused. But then there was somebody else on the TV she was very excited for, and she screamed for Elmo. And so that happened.
He killed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy is a star, undeniable. Yeah. But anyway, so there's TV in her life. It is what it is. She was studying the encyclopedia, aka, no, she watches TV. Okay. And so because of that, sometimes she'll ask for TV, especially right before bed. She's like, no, TV. I'm like, no. And so what I've started saying is I'm like, I'm the TV. I'm the TV. And I was like, listen, for bedtime, we support live theater. So now, because she requests bits if they do well with her, and she's like, do the TV, do on the TV, do on the and so we do that before.
That's so cute.
Yeah. But you were saying about the toddler stuff. So the stuff that I'm working on now, because right now is like an interesting moment for me in the sense that I'm like, all right, let me try and encapsulate parenting her up until this point, because as a comic, you're basically a writer who wants to gather what you've written and make it good for publication, right? In some way. And so I'm like, all right, I want to put together 15 to 30 to tape soon about that. And think about okay, what's the arc? What am I really saying? I have from the early days, a swaddling thing, which basically is I'm the worst visual artist in the world, which I know, by the way, for sure, because when I was 15 years old in art class, which we had as an elective in high school, we had to do a painting and everybody had to do a critique because 15-year-old girls are, of course, known for their kindness. And so the art teacher was like, okay, you got to rip the paintings, just critique. And nobody, even for me in high school girls, they were like, Miss Rosen, we don't want to do that. And nobody wanted to say anything because it was mean. What she was asking us to do was mean. But somebody broke the ice by being like, okay, well, I don't want to say anything mean, but I guess to start the conversation, that one's the worst. And it was mine. And everybody piles on okay, well, obviously, I didn't want to say that, but okay. So obviously that's the bottom. And then we start from there. So anyway, and then, you show up at the hospital and they're like, okay, you got to swaddle. You have to make a perfect burrito. And of course the nurse is like, she's a Chipotle artist. And then a chef from Benihana, she's flipping my daughter. Lands in that paper blanket, and I have to make a swan napkin and do origami perfectly or else in order to put her to sleep every night. But then, you have to swaddle until you don't anymore. Then you don't think about it. And so there's a lot of stuff like that with a kid because the phases are so intense, but they're also so quick that then they move on to the next thing. And you just don't have to deal with that anymore. So I'm now in this moment where I'm going back to some of that stuff. When I started doing stand-up, the thing that it reminded me of the most was talking to my mother before bed. My mom would have been a comedian if that life was at all in her sphere at that time. I mean, my mother is a retired teacher. You know, that's like what you did in that era, right? You want to be home at the time that your kids come home. And like, you know, even though, and my mother, she'd probably get like fake mad at me for saying this, but she was home, but she was on the phone with customer service. Like I got off the bus and she's like, shh, 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 I'm about to get the refund, you know, because she was. But she was home. But in any event, yeah, like that's the person for me who loves to talk. One or both of us has a customer service thing, which we usually do. We really get into it. I know I joke about like returns. I have a story that I tell on stage about it, whatever. But the thing that I feel is at the core of it, it is about justice. We're not trying to shake down, you know, Starbucks because the strawberry acai lemonade is terrible, which by the way, it is. I had one on Tuesday because I was really thirsty. And I know I'm supposed to have water, but like when you're that thirsty, you don't want water. I was like, I want like a Dell's lemonade on the beach in, you know, Newport or whatever. And so anyway, so I was like, I went to this thing in Maplewood and then I was like, oh, I'll go to Starbucks. I'll get a strawberry acai lemonade. And by the way, the thing that if I got a drink that sucked at Starbucks, then thank God it's Starbucks because then I can chat in the app. I'm like, listen, your strawberry acai lemonade, it was terrible. I like Starbucks. I wanted it to be good. And by the way, I figured that with all of, you know, the testing, I didn't say all of this, but, you know, it's sort of implied, I think. But anyway, end of story, $7.02 refunded to me, which is how it should be. Like, listen, it's a weird time in terms of the rule of law in this late stage capitalistic society that we're in. You may not have the Constitution, but you have the return policy of Bloomingdale's that they're going to uphold. I had a nice enough chat with the Starbucks bot. It's sometimes, here's my theory is that now they're hybrids. They're like sort of a bot, sort of.
Oh, right. And you don't know if it's the bot or the human.
Because they'll ask a question that's a little bit like from left field because you're kind of on a date when it's you and Kavya in your phone, right? Like I'm like, we're sexting, basically. It's about lemonade, but like, what's it really about?
Golden showers.
Wow, you went there. Who knows, I guess. But anyway, I'm like, it was bad, whatever. And then she's like, and this is an ongoing issue at this location. I'm like, I've never said that. I'm not trying to take down the Maplewood Starbucks. I'm like, I barely go there just because I'm not usually there. I'm like, I'm not talking about some larger issue. I'm talking about one lemonade for one lesbian that just didn't sit quite right. And I would like my $7.02 while you're at it back into my account. That's it. I mean, not that my mother and I were talking about this because we weren't. Here was the fight. Okay. Because she's like, you don't FaceTime me. You don't FaceTime me with the baby. And I'm like, Mommy, I was like, let's go through my schedule that you already know. Like, I talked to you on the way to Rhode Island, from Rhode Island, on the way to shows every night, which, by the way, if you doubt it, is during bedtime. She's also in school all day. When would you propose FaceTime? And she's like, well, I'm just saying I haven't talked to her in a while. I'm like, yeah, same. And then she's like, you're berating me. And I'm like, no, I am answering with the tone that I mean.
How does does your mom feel about your raising of, we'll just call her your daughter?
Sure. So yeah, she is very into how I am with my daughter. She is. And the reason is, you know, I had my kid late. Okay. I'm 46. I'll be 47, hopefully in August. And I have a 2.5-year-old. So, you know, inadvisable for sure. And so anyway, trying to stay alive here. That's really what I'm doing. That's why all the tennis. One advantage that having a kid later for me had, and again, somebody could have done this type of work earlier or not needed it at all. I needed a lot of therapy. I've gotten it. I'm 19 years with the same therapist. We're ending on May 5th. Yeah.
You get anything like a certificate or you graduate?
Right. I know. It's like
cap and gown.
I feel like the main work in terms of parenting that my mother sees and thinks is good is I don't really get, like, if my daughter is freaking out, I am not freaking out. And I think that that is very different from how my mom had me when she was 26 or something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so whatever. And if I mean, I can't even imagine if I was 26, I'd probably be like throwing a child, like not
Yeah.
literally, obviously, but like I would have been a mess. And that is a good thing that I didn't have a kid at 26. But at 43, I think I was when she was born, it was different for me because I was sort of on the other side of a lot of like the stressing out that I would do, you know, pretty like regularly in my 20s and 30s, I guess. And I still, you know, I still have like the ability to get kind of amped for sure. But I also have this life that I've created for myself where I get to do that pretty much every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of like is a outlet for that side of me where I sort of, I don't know. I remember I took an acting class with this guy, terrible guy, but really, really amazing acting teacher. And like not even an acting teacher. Like it was basically unlicensed therapy. But anyway, so I took this class with this guy for 3 years. And the thing is, even though it was like that, I really had a lot to break down in terms of like walls up and, you know, because I was a lawyer. And I was like so defensive. So I go to this acting class and this acting teacher and I were like oil and water. We fought all the time because I was so defensive and he was really harsh and whatever. And it was like such a slog until I really broke from the defensiveness and almost went the other way entirely. Anyway, so one of the crazy things that we would do in this acting class, which was not an acting class at all, was he would throw on a song and you, as the person on stage, would have to lip sync for your life, okay? A la RuPaul's Drag Race, okay? So he throws on Born in the USA. And for some reason, because I was still in my really defensive phase, I was like, ugh, I hate this song. I don't mean any shades of Bruce Springsteen, but I don't think it's his best work.
Let's not piss off Bruce Springsteen.
Sure,
Liz.
sure.
I know.
New Jersey.
Oh, I know. Shouldn't have said it for sure. My acting teacher is like, okay, why do you hate Bruce Springsteen? And I was like, honestly, I don't even know. He's like, your homework for the next week is to fall in love with Bruce Springsteen and to find a song of his that you really want to sing. Well, I picked Dancing in the Dark, which I ended up really loving. All of this to say that one of the things that anyone I think will say about Bruce Springsteen is like that guy does those like 4-hour marathon shows that are like highest octane you've ever seen in your life because that's how he's calm in his life. And like that guy, most like Zen, even person because he puts it all on the stage. And it was the biggest gift that I had that week because I was like, oh, so maybe all the stuff that's like my demons or whatever that like, you know, is the reason I was single, beyond single at the time, that I like can't keep a relationship and all this stuff is because I don't have an outlet like Bruce Springsteen does. And so it really shifted the way that I see performing and made it so that basically I put it all on the stage.
I was saying in the set you do about the toddler, right? You say when she was a baby, she brought nothing to the table. She was so boring.
But here's where that one comes from. At the time that she was born, I was like really stressed about childcare. And I was like, well, maybe I just quit comedy and take care of her. That was a real thought that I had. You know, it was only for like an afternoon. But for that afternoon, I was serious because what happened was the director of the Early Childhood Center at the JCC, Karen, was emailing with her, and all of a sudden she didn't get an email back. Now, Karen and I, you know, her mother converted, okay? And I do think that that's relevant in terms of pushiness because they don't teach that in a conversion class. I come from pushy Jewish women. That is what I know. That's how I know how to be, okay? Karen is like nice. Karen is a really kind person and she has great bedside manner and she has other great qualities too. But between us, I'm the push. And so I'm like, what happened with the JCC? Like, where are we on that? And she's like, she didn't email me back. And I was like, I'll be right back. And I went over, and now I'm not even channeling my mother, I'm channeling my father. And I go to the JCC and I was like, hey, I'm Liz. I think you've been emailing with my wife. And then she says to me, the director, she's like, I'm emailing with everybody's wife. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, we're full. You want to come in my office? I was like, sure. And then she's like, what's your daughter's birthday? I say, boop, boop, boop. And she's like, oh, we have one spot. So we got the last spot, or at least that was the way it was presented to me. So that's how she got into school. But before that, I was like looking at the prices for nannies and looking at how much I make. And I was like, that makes no sense. And then I'm like, I literally don't know what to do. And the thing is that then when I was staring at that life, even for that afternoon of like, okay, so you're saying I'm going to be with her all day and she's bringing that to the table. I mean, it's tough. It's just really tough at that age because they simultaneously need to be entertained. You can't just like leave them there really because they'll freak out after too many minutes of doing nothing. I was just like, I don't have the constitution to be making art projects every 20 minutes,
Yeah.
you know, for all the wake windows and all of that for my whole day. I just don't know that I'm best suited for that. And I feel like we have to figure out another way. And so that's the thing is like, I love my daughter. And in that moment, the emotion that I was accessing is you have to be kidding me. I can't do this. And I stand by that. And I would say that to her as a growing adult too, that I love the most. It's just part of development. It's not a personal affront because other people do it too, which I realized later, I guess, like just, oh, I have a baby. She's in the car. And other people have said that. So I don't stand by it as like, oh my God, what a great joke. I say this because online people like freak, you know, everybody freaks out about everything online. But one of the things is like, oh my God, I can't believe you joked about that. People really, you know, kids die because of car. I'm like, I know. Like I the reason that I think about that is because every time I think about my kid, I think, oh my gosh, I know where she is. I know where she is, right? Of course, of course. And so it's like, God forbid, I would never leave her anywhere close to the car. I am the person who's like being fed every nervous TikTok about every scam and, you know, oh, they're going to follow you from the supermarket to your car. God forbid. Here's where to put your, you know, your grocery cart so you can like put it at the enemy and, you know, hit them right in the balls or whatever it is.
You know, I feel the whole thing and like not in a funny way. I actually did forget when she was a baby. My daughter, I did forget my daughter. It was only for 2 minutes, but it was the worst feeling. So now it's like I too am obsessed and she's 12 now, but I see how you bring that poignancy to the humor. I think that's where, as mothers, we are looking for that humor because everything is so serious.
It's all on us. Everything's your fault. If she doesn't do, you know, I mean, tummy time. I remember that. I'm like,
for the love with the tummy time.
The stakes couldn't be higher. It's literal life or death all the time, and it's on you. And that's the part that it's like, I would love to be able to encapsulate all of that I've experienced thus far. And one that I did on stage last night, which is obviously very new, was like from Sunday, we went to the country club for dinner because we didn't feel like cooking. And so we're there for dinner. And of course, she doesn't want anything there because, you know, they're not up to her standards. I was like, what do you want? She's like, mac and cheese, fine. So I go over to the chef and I was like, could you possibly make mac and cheese? And he's like, of course. Okay. Comes back, makes the mac and cheese. She's eating it on my lap, of course, because like otherwise she'll throw a fit. She looks up at me. She's like, this is really good. And I lost it. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you're a discerning palate for sure. And I'm definitely I did actually go over to the chef. I was like, she said it's really good.
Well, I would be like, let me just taste it first and see if I oh, yes, it's really good.
It was the most ridiculous thing in the world. But at least like she's balanced in her reviews because often it's not really good. And she's not saying that at all. She's throwing it on the ground and being completely unreasonable as her developmental stage, you know, indicates that she should be. And I don't flip out about that stuff because it's like, yeah, like she's 2. But the funniest thing, just side note, at the country club was because the wait staff there, you know, they're trained to be so proper. And it was just me and her. Karen was away for a work trip. Yeah. She had a conference. And so I was like, okay, great. There's dinner there at 5. We'll go. There was like some event for kids. So I was like, perfect. And we go and we're sitting there. And because it was just me, I had to go get her food. But I have my eye on her. It's like right there or whatever. But the waiter, when I left the table, it was like his turn to go to our table. So I have a picture of him standing over the table and I'm listening. I'm like, I'm just going to let this play out for a sec. He's like, would you like anything to drink? To her. I'm like, what you gonna say? Yeah, a whiskey need. It was the most ridiculous. I had to take a picture of it. And I told him this past time, I was like, it's the most ridiculous picture because, you know, like they just sort of are a little bit like robotic because I think they are trained to be because so many people are nightmares. But, you know, it was pretty hilarious.
Well, often I'll catch myself how I talk to the kids, you know, like when I'm defending if they're like, the car is dirty. And I'm like, well, you try having 4 kids and I let you eat in here. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to, she's 4, you know? It's like,
yeah, no, totally.
All right, guys, this was so awesome.
Oh my God.
God.
Yeah, this was so fun. I love you both. I love you off Zoom and off stage and also on Zoom and on stage. Thank you so much. Yeah, for having me. It's really a pleasure to talk to both of you.
All right, guys.
Right.
Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Mom Comes Stand Up and Stories. We hope that you were able to laugh free of interruptions from your kids. This episode has been edited by the amazing Brianna Avenia Tapper. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on Substack for more information about the Mom Comes. The link is listed in the show notes. Oh, and check out our website, themomcoms.com, where we list information about our shows. See if we're performing in your area. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mom Comes Stand Up and Stories, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Bye.